So, Women About Business is a monthly talk for career women and women who do business.
The idea really came about when I was consulting a lot of women on best practices when it comes to negotiation, in terms of salaries, in terms of contracting and getting new gigs, but also um, female entrepreneurs who are struggling to have access to the same access to tools and expertise and networks really that men have access to. And this information is out there, but a lot of women are finding it hard to reach out to each other, find each other, and connect. And so I thought it would be a great idea if we have people who have been through the struggle, who have been through climbing up the career ladder, who have been through building a business from scratch, and sharing these ideas for a broader audience to see.
So, we talked about it on a cup of coffee, and I said, you know what, this has to be a segment on my show. So, here we are. So the reason why Women About Business is here, especially for me, is I had an event where I asked too little money for the work that I did as a communication strategist. And the director at the time called me out at a very sudden moment and said, you know what, you're way too humble. You're way too timid. And if this is the way you're going to go about stuff, people will underappreciate you. And that's when I knew that, hey, something has to change. And if some of these conversations could just happen every month where we invite women, talk about it, then we are solving a lot of problems out there. So that's why I think Women About Business is very necessary.
Women About Business is a very personal project for me, actually, because I found that whilst I was trying to build my own companies and communicate with other women about the struggles that I was going through, it was very hard to find information out there, very practical information, tools, tips, and tricks of experienced people who had been through what I was going through as well. And I think it could have saved me a whole lot of heartache. And of course, I think for every entrepreneur, it's very important to have your own path and to make sure that you have those experiences so that it builds you up. But at the same time, I think there are certain mistakes that we make as women that we can avoid and therefore um, reach our goals faster if we just knew that those things, those decisions were not the best to make. And I think for women in business, when we start tackling some of these things, when it comes to positioning yourself, building on strategy, thinking about growth mindset, making sure that you do not undervalue yourself, making sure that you understand exactly the steps you need to take in order to succeed, whether it's in your own business or whether it is trying to get into a leadership role. Those tools, tips, and tricks, I think, are essential. And if we are able to share that on one platform for women, by women, I think we can go a long way in making sure that equality becomes reality. Watch out for Women About Business because we'll be launching soon.
And make sure that you follow us.
That was hella awkward. Hello, everybody. Here we are back again. Miss Ava, I am today again. I have been on your screens last Sunday, and now I'm back on. We're actually at the studios, and I've just kind of found a comfy spot at the studio because now it's a lot of music going on and things where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to find a separate place to really tune into this, to Women About Business, a very exciting episode as of today. Welcome. It's just a little past 8 p.m. Amsterdam time. I'm like literally in Amsterdam town with the view, like if you would see it from the other side with the view over the city. And like on my, is it on my right hand or something? I have the arena, so that's really where we're at today to really talk about some business, especially as it relates to women. I'm super excited about this show or this particular episode because we are talking about pushing sustainability and made in Ghana products. Like I am all for that. And we have a very special guest, and she's the founder of one of my favorite brands, of which I think I should be a brand ambassador for. Hint. And we are really going to talk about, developing a product that is pushing innovation and development by women, also with the goal to empower more women from the motherland, Ghana, and gracefully expanding. Of course, every Tuesday, myself and Kimberly Ofori bring all of that to you. Before we get things started, and I'm gonna bring in my co-host Kimberly Ofori on this. Spread the word if you are tuning in through Facebook. Shout out to you, Hakuna Group. Thank you for laughing with me on that one. um, yeah, if you're tuning in via Facebook, make sure that you share, spread the word. It's definitely, if you're a woman, if you're into business, and even I hear from a lot of our listeners that some of the men kind of tune in, chip in, and get some clues as it relates to how to go about with business. So spread it on your timeline. If you're on YouTube, share the link. And of course, also throughout the conversations that we're having, feel free to give comments, ask questions, so that we can keep the interaction going. I'm your host, Miss Abba, coming to you live from Amsterdam on High Radio, and let's get this thing going before time runs out, because I have a what's it called? One a challenge, and that is keeping it within time. So I hope to gracefully be doing so. Let's do this. Hello, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm good. I am. I can't complain. I hope that since we are almost getting into December, it like symbolically means that we're no longer taking the craziness of 2020, but hey,
Well, I mean, it's been an interesting year. Yeah.
absolutely,
I think a lot of good things have also come from all of this.
yeah,
But yeah, a lot of good, a lot of sad as well.
yeah,
But I think the word for me, I was whilst I was preparing for the show, I was telling myself, I think the word for this year is actually intense.
right,
Because it could have been intensely bad at some moments,
yeah,
intensely sad, but also there were some really intensely um, good moments and
right,
moments that I felt incredibly grateful
right,
and moments that I felt incredibly like shaken up in a good way.
right.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with intense.
Intense, yeah, yeah. I think that's a good word to describe it in some way. Definitely. Well, good to have you on here. Business as usual. We are here
Yeah.
to talk in the following hour, and yeah, really talk about what's going on in business. This is a special guest that we have on that I kind of what we say in Dutch. I got this contact via, and she is a lady who is the founder of a skincare brand, not just any skincare brand, but it's a sustainable brand, and I know the feeling. It's very necessary. It's a sustainable brand. I have been like a loyal buyer since 2015. I stumbled upon it on Accra Goods Market. Back then in Accra, it was a particular market really there to celebrate, culture. I discovered the coconut oil then, have been a loyal buyer, and have been buying all kinds of other things of the brand hemp oil,
Mm.
what else? The black soap and all
Mm.
of those things. And simply
Oh
because I
wow.
really was in a space where I really wanted to push made in Ghana products,
Mm.
simply to yeah, I felt the need for it, not
Right.
just because it's mostly organic, but I really wanted to dive into, what it takes for a product to really be sold on international platforms and international retail stores. And
Yes.
that's why I got hooked into this brand. And so my, my network grew, and then I happened to find out through Jake. Shout out to Jake, who is the founder of Hakuna Group. I had him on Africa in Focus last week Sunday, and he said, you know what,
Mm.
Skin Gourmet is now launching in the Netherlands, in Europe.
Oh,
Now
that's
our
awesome.
products are available. Yeah, so it's really a proud moment for Ghanaians, to kind of and not to be shady, but you know how some how most of the time the Ghana
You
made products
started
are
with
messed.
not to be shady. That's not even
No, but some, how our made in Ghana products are packaged. You know what I mean? It's a particular way sometimes. It's the kind of items that you see in the cupboard at the embassy and at some events, and
Oh,
you're like, listen, it needs that and this particular brand has all of that. It is throughout, and it is organic. It is a way forward. All of the components of the packaging are to be
right.
recycled. Oh my gosh, I think I should rather keep my mouth shut and invite her. And this this lovely lady is a woman. She's the founder of this awesome brand. It is, like I mentioned, it is an edible skincare brand. At the same time that you use the coconut oil for your skin, you can use it to cook, and that goes the same for the scrubs, the skin scrub, and all of that. So the innovation is written all over this product, and for her to launch it on European markets, I think I spotted it in South Korea somewhere online as well. We're going to check that out with her.
Amazing.
It is really something that needs to be pushed onward and onward. And she goes by the name of Violet Awo Amoabeng. And this is a lady who has traveled around the world, has put all of her knowledge and everything together to push forth this particular brand. So without further ado, I can see her already at the background. Let me just introduce her, and let's get to talking. Hello, Violet. How are you?
Hi,
Good.
hi. How are you?
Good seeing you. It's like you're all well and branded.
Absolutely. You are prepared. I love it. Absolutely. I love the whole everything that's going on in the background. Are you in a shop right now?
Well, actually, yeah, I live in my shop, so
Great. I love it.
That is the right way to do business.
That is the way to go. Absolutely.
thank you guys
um,
on this show.
like,
I'm so grateful. Shout out to Ian and Isa.
we're gonna learn more about who these people are. Again, welcome, Violet, to have you here on the show, and live from your very own store, so people could experience the full Skin Gourmet touch, as they would say. How are you doing? Where are you in this place in your life? How has lockdown been treating you? Could you share a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very interesting. I think you used the right word when you said intense, where it has its downsides, when you think about sales in general, but it has its upside because it's learning how to overcome the challenges without feeling so down, but rather looking at it as an opportunity to step up and
Yeah,
find a way forward. So for me, it's
Yeah.
been an amazing way to grow, not just financially or fiscally, but like mentally and spiritually,
right,
as well. It's not been
right.
so bad. It's just rough, but we'll get through it.
Yeah. The intensity is real.
Yes.
Gotcha. Gotcha. How has it been in terms of business?
So you're asking me how I am, like in terms of where I am right now. In terms of the business itself, I think we are at the stage where we're now growing. Even though
Yeah.
we're 6 years old, most companies would say that we are, much further in the growth stage. But I feel like we haven't even really started because we just formed or are forming the real personality of the company. I had to learn a lot of things as I started. We had to find a way, number one, to differentiate how to be true truly sustainable, and what that meant not just in Ghana but in different countries, taking in feedback. So I think now we are where we're ready to actually grow. And for me as a person, I think I'm also at the same stage. I am just growing, taking the punches, taking the hits, taking the successes, learning, taking the feedback, learning not to take things so personal, and realizing that it's not about me. The picture is much greater. Everything affects everyone. It's not just about a product, it's beyond the product. So yeah, in a growing phase, definitely.
Right, right. That totally, I resonate with that. And I think for the most part, for the majority of the year, that I have been speaking with fast growing companies, especially in Europe, there's this new kind of realization that came, or not new, but I think an reawakened awareness of the fact that, having a business starting 5 years ago, 10 years ago, does not qualify to be in a mature stage. It doesn't actually represent at all where the business is. It just tells you how many years ago you started acting upon the idea. And I think for a lot of companies, that's really, and I think for a lot of founders, that's a really interesting thing that you said, that, as it goes parallel with what you are learning and how you are growing, and that you are now ready to grow, is because you have worked all of those years on the foundation, carving out exactly, who are we? What are we? Where are we going? You can't just, you don't start at 10. And I think I love that, how, if I'm looking at all the momentum that's going around your brand, it again reminds me of how much people think things are overnight successes,
Oh,
and then realizing, as we dive deeper into the conversation, how much work goes before the overnight success. So then it takes 5 years to become an overnight success, right? So we're really keen to learn more about that. Firstly, I have one question, and that is, what is it that you're using on your skin that makes you glow this much?
one thing I found is, okay, so I have a whole routine step by step. First, I have my black soap. I do not play with that. My black soap is black. And then I always every single day. And I guess, because I kind of have so many different scrubs, I just alternate between I have. It's actually
Right.
terrible, but I just love it because, one day you want to use the baobab scrub, the next day you have the cocoa and sea salt. And then after that, I wash it off. So usually I combine the black soap and the scrub because it's a bit faster for me.
Right.
And that I use a ginger and tea tree propolis. Sorry, a ginger and tea tree toner. And then I use neem oil or baobab oil or moringa oil, depending what's happening.
Wow.
And all that, I put my ginger and propolis toner on the top.
Right.
Well, it explains all of that, everything you mentioned, like explains what is happening. Oh,
So yeah, I just like to use the different products all the time. I only use my products. And part of the reason why it's not just because it's free. It's also because I like to not only get feedback from the customers or for the clients, but I like to get feedback from the products of me using it. Because it's quite interesting that the type of products we have, because of their purity, the number of uses for each product is so vast that only if you use it enough times that you can actually advise other people on how to use it. So have one scrub, and for example, it's a lip scrub. You can use it on your feet. You can use it on your body. You can use it as basically a mask and a soap in one. So by using the different products, it's able to help me, I guess, even design products even more, and then be able to tell people about it. Also, I can ensure its safety because we don't test on it.
Right.
We test it on ourselves. So, and actually, I just enjoy it.
I love it. And it goes to, and it testifies. It's a testimony, really. I think a lot of companies that will not be, that do not use their own products, we probably should have question marks with that.
Or
that's a warning.
Yes.
Absolutely. So before we even go into the versatility, the innovation part of your of Skin Gourmet, because that is, I don't think that I could be able to buy Nivea and say, you know what, I'm gonna cook my egg. I'm gonna bake my egg with that. But you make it happen. Before we even talk about that, tell us about your journey on starting this, because seeing this business as it is, and you hearing you say, okay, now you're ready to grow, as in like the next step would be like, oh wow, so what has she been doing all these years? Even looking at the product itself is a major accomplishment. Take us a bit back. Where did it start, and how was that particular journey?
Oh, okay. So I started Skin Gourmet in 2014, and it was actually because I had a bit of a skin irritation, and I just come back from school in the States, and I stayed in Tunisia for a little bit. And so this irritation on my lip was just not going. It would come and then it would go, it would come and it would go. And then my friend's just like, yo, you should use shea butter. And I'm like, I have been to so many places. What are you talking about, shea butter, right? And then I used it, right? And then within 3 days, it was gone. So I said, okay, I started looking at all the different products that I've been using, and I realized that half the ingredients in there are not
Yeah.
actually to heal me or to benefit me, is to make me buy the product, like certain fragrances or certain things to make the texture a certain way,
Mhm.
or preservatives to preserve the product longer on the shelf. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me just take my and mix it with shea butter. And I was like, what are you doing?
Right.
It's the same. So then I made a few formulations. I started with 145 cities. I called my uncle in the UK. I was like, Uncle Kwame, Charlie, I have this idea. I'm going to start a business. I need this, and that. He's like, oh,
Love the
child.
accent.
So he did a bunch of stuff. And then that's how I was able to start with 145, because, my family members helped. And then I made my first formulation, and I'm not going to lie, it was not right. It was not right. And containers from Makola Market, and I designed my logo in PowerPoint. I was feeling like, I'm a real business person right now. I printed my labels from my computer, cut them with scissors, got a glue stick, stuck it to the container. I put it in my wardrobe, and I went to church and I said, God, you've seen what's in my wardrobe. Give me a company. And of course, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, those three are not really giving this guy much to work with. But then, I had to do a lot of prayer and then searching, because, you start and you have the idea, but it's not quite formed. You don't quite understand what it is you're doing, but you have the passion that you want to do it. So I prayed about it, and started doing research. So I started looking into where these ingredients are from, how long we've been using them, how we've been using them. And then the name came up. I didn't come up with the name, by the way. That was totally God's doing. Skin Gourmet,
Right.
which time it actually just meant, gourmet skincare. But
Yeah.
interestingly enough, because of the evolution of it and doing the research and putting it in prayer, I started to understand, no, no, no. Skin Gourmet is actually edible skincare that is premium. And so I started working with our
Right.
local community,
Wow.
learning from people from our own culture. And this is something that
Yeah.
also realizes that we're losing so much culture in Ghana, because we go outside and we take that and then we replace it, thinking that ours doesn't have much value. But I
Mhm.
Yeah.
found that quite interesting, how you could have skincare and food and not have a fridge. That's deep. So how
Mm.
is it care that was so pure? It has absolutely no preservatives. It is food grade because we're eating it. And I said, okay,
Yeah.
let's I like this. So then I started then putting ideas together of not just taking the raw product, but then adding innovation to it, changing it so that it could be used today and adding to our culture.
Right.
I mean, it's been a very interesting journey, because first our branding was literally, I told you, from my computer PowerPoint. And then I was able to go for an accelerator program in South Africa by Dark and Lovely. And Chalet, hey, I didn't know anything about business. They grilled me like, oh my God. I told me I was going to lose. I mean, I believed I was going to lose.
Really.
Yeah, but because I think so that also they tell you that to motivate you, right?
Yeah.
But as they said, I'm going to lose. God, you have to help me. Got into my prayer, got my fast. I took this serious. For the next month, I was doing research, trying to understand. And I'm like, listen, God, if you don't tell me what this company means, how am I going to explain it to anybody? So in those couple of months, they taught us about branding. They taught us about brand guides. They taught us about basically how to communicate your company, how to have a unique selling point. I mean, all of this was being mashed in my head. And then we went for the final competition and I got it. I realized that, it's, even though it's business, it's not about making money. If your business is good, your intentions are good, your products are good, profit is a byproduct. You don't have to worry about the profit. You just need to make sure that the focus is on doing something that goes beyond yourself and beyond the product.
Right.
So if it's beyond the product, that means that it should not have any adverse effect afterwards. So we have to consider things like the environment. You have to consider the customer. You have to consider workers. You have to consider the culture. You have to consider it. And so that's how it started to form. But again, that was just the beginning. And so then customers and learning more about how to even the labels and the branding. My sisters, back for this thing. I could not figure it out by myself. But then soon I came up. Well, it wasn't me. My cousins in Sweden were helping me with Skin Gourmet at the time, and so they kept giving back on how to brand and also understanding that the product had to be simple. There's no gimmicks. It's not trend. So we should simplify the labels that go on it and simplify even the logo so that it's not like a ploy to get people to buy, but just tell them simply what it is, and people will decide if they want to buy it, and if it is good, they'll come back.
Right.
From there, we had some really great people come into our lives. Like I cannot tell you how grateful I am to God, because most people go looking for contracts, but because we decided to focus on making it a premium product. I mean, sometimes you lose, but don't focus on that. Just focus on the quality, making sure the customer is happy. By focusing on that, we had a lot of people who came to help us. So they'll come and be like, yo, can I be your distributor here? Can I be your distributor there? Of course, we've been burned. We've been really burned sometimes.
Oh, wow.
But things we're learning for growth.
Right.
So now we're at the stage where, with all of the help from everybody who's been a part, I mean, I would say that our partners have been amazing. They have been kind to us. They have been truthful to us, and they help us every step of the way. They take it to a country. They say, okay, this is the feedback I'm getting. How can we help each other? How can we change it? And I found that if you're ready to learn, be open, and don't take criticism as personal, but rather take it as feedback, then you can do something with it. Even if you believe it was delivered was wrong, or didn't like how it was said, or you felt aggression, there's always some truth in the feedback.
Right.
So trusting people, as much as I said we've been burnt, you have to make sure that your pain doesn't make you bitter. Your pain makes you. So as much as taught us maybe also how we had a part to play in whatever was that happened. And so now we're getting some amazing support and amazing help from, I mean, you guys, even this show, come on, that's some help. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's been a lesson and a half. But one thing I learned about this is, if you're in this for money, it is not gonna last, because it is really hard with no investors and with no loans. But at the same time, by being so I want to say so pressed, it forces innovation out of you. It forces you to figure out things with just a little bit, and there's always an answer. It's just a matter of changing your perspective about whatever barrier or position or challenge you have. You can always overcome it. You just need to change your mind.
Girl, so many gems. No, seriously, because this entire answer and the way that you kind of sketched your journey, you went through so many levels that a lot of us can relate, that have founded companies before. And I think one of the biggest things that I hear here is, again, with the most successful founders that we speak to, is how important it is, one, that you separate business from the personal aspect of it, even though it's your baby. And then the second one is making sure that you're in it for the cause, for the passion that comes with it, for the vision that you have, and not for the money. And it's crazy to think about it, because I know and I think many women with me, we dream big. It's not that we don't dream big. It's that there are so many other things that demand our time and energy, right? And so even when we are founding businesses, I think one of the biggest hurdles many women have seen today is the fact that they think they cannot combine this empire they envision with everything else. So my question to you is, um, I don't know if when you started you already had a family or later on that came about, but that's something you struggled with or came to struggle with at some point, and how did you kind of keep going, even though you felt like, you know what, there are easier things to do and there are better ways to make money in life. Like, how did you deal with that?
Well, I think for me, this is all or nothing. Like what I say a lot is, if I perish, then I perish.
Right.
And I hard on this. Like, if you come to my house, like I'm sitting in my house. My
Right.
house is a factory. And
Yeah,
the reason
die hard.
but I love that when I wake up in the morning and I step out, I'm at work. When
Yeah.
everybody's on, I can walk around, and I call the products my babies. I walk around and I say, like, hey, you know, how you doing? I even talk to them when they're going. In terms of like family, I have my family, but I don't have, like, I'm not struggling, I think, like other entrepreneurs that have like young children. I don't know if that's good or bad right now, but what I do consider is I consider my staff to be my family. So like
Right.
we're about 16 people now, and it's really interesting because I have to focus so hard on each person,
Yeah.
not just myself, because you know, every, like, especially this is Ghana, right? So
Yeah.
how, if I think about it, I don't have the problems they have. I can only imagine what they're going through. Also, not just a matter of just paying them. I have
Yeah.
to figure going on with them, what their competencies are, what do they like to do, what do they not like to do, what motivates them, what demotivates them, are they in the right department, are they enjoying their job, can I make enough to pay? And all of these things keep me motivated because I've traveled a bit. What Ghanaian pay is here, I don't think it's enough. And so we all work together as a team to try and raise how much they're getting paid, but also at the same time try to mentor them. So it's
Right.
not about just do the job. No, I'm going to show you how to do the job to the level we need to get it to.
Right.
For example, at our labeling department, a lot of people are like, why don't you use machines? And I'm like, it looks like it was done by machines, right? But it was actually done by hand. And the whole point of labeling by hand, even though people say they don't think it's sustainable if we have to upscale quickly, is that the more we crank out, the more jobs we create. And
Yeah.
for me, that's important. So in terms of family, in terms of like having your own kids and married, I don't have that yet, but I do consider our staff and our employees pretty much my family.
Right. Right. Right.
I just love the way you're talking about it. If I perish, I perish. Like, seriously, if I perish. I
When
love
she
that.
said die hard, she meant it. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's truly the entrepreneurial spirit. Like, seriously. Um, one thing about, business, some do have the mentality of business being hard on cash. If it doesn't make money, then it's not, they have all kinds of quotes and bars for that. What is your business about? What are you about? Like, this is something that we always ask our guests, like, what is your why? And I love how you even laid it down. It's not about all of that money for me, but my focus is rather on something else. Why are you doing what you do? Could you share a bit about that?
Well, I believe that we should put people over profits. I'm a firm believer that a lot of the times, because I'm not a business person. Like, I used to work at a bank. That did not work for me. I think
Mm-hmm.
if you have the right motivation to help people truly, um, you'll be able to be successful. So I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. I want, like, don't get me wrong. I worry about money a lot, like a lot. Some days I can hardly get out of bed and face the employees because I'm just like, whoo, I'm tight. But at the same
Yeah.
time, we all find a way to make it work. I believe by the grace of God, because the motivation behind it is not so I have a big house. It's
Yeah.
not so I drive a Mercedes Benz. I've honestly found in my life, because I came from a family that had quite a bit of wealth, and while we were wealthy, we were
Yeah.
miserable. We lived in a
Yeah.
big house, we were not connected. I was
Yeah.
Right.
empty, I was sad, I was depressed. But
Yeah.
right now, tight on cash, but girl, I'm content. I am so except for the days where you know a bill's due and you're like, but I find that because it's bigger than me, I
Yeah.
feel completely fulfilled. So
Yeah.
even though I might not have a lot of money in my bank account, if I know that, okay, our employees are good, their health benefits are taken care of, we're paying our taxes, we're pushing out good product, it's bringing good visibility to Ghana, that feels a whole lot more rewarding than the money. I'm not saying I don't want the money. The money will come, but I'm hoping that by the time it comes, I will truly and fully understand that the money is not about me spending on myself, but that money is meant to be a distribution channel for God or a way to help people. It's not about you stuffing your pockets, living the high life, and just it being all about you, because that's just going to be empty. But rather than when we do have the money, we know how to distribute it properly so that it's not just us benefiting, but the whole world is benefiting from it.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My heart beats for that. Seriously. Could you tell us a bit about, the supply chain? Because one thing that I love, b- before we even go into that repackaging, rebranding phase, because I've seen it, being a diehard friend from 2015, and now being that, what's it on your t-shirt? A raw, pure, and wild, really, making that statement. It went through a bit of stages. As
Mm-hmm.
a matter of fact, let's talk about that. How was that process? Kind of, I see it as a rebrand, but rebranding most of the time also means that something at the back end is being developed or
Mm-hmm.
is changing. Take us a bit through that journey of amending, and where did you get the knowledge and everything to shape Skin Gourmet as it is today?
Okay, so when I first started, like I said, it was just raw passion. It was almost, if I consider it like a drawing, it was like a crayon just scribbled on paper. Like it didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
over the didn't even know which products to start with. I didn't know how I was going to define my product base, what
yeah.
exactly the that I said to you that I went to an accelerator program. But even before that, we had this group come to us called Challenges. And so they came and they're like, okay, so Skin Gourmet, what is your unique selling point? I was like, made in Ghana, duh.
Right.
And they're like, that's not a unique selling point. So they had to sit down with us, explain to me what a unique selling point is. Then they asked me things like, what is the character of your brand? And I realized that, oh, wow. So a brand, in essence, is actually like a person. It's like a little baby when it's formed. It has absolutely no personality. It's not it's not anything. You have to now decide the values you want it to have. You have to decide the kind of, in essence, person that you want it to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I realized after about 2 years. By the way, thank you for supporting us since 2015. That's amazing. And it was a matter of also sitting down, and like I said to you, like I had to pray about it, right? So I had to sit down and actually say, if I could be a better person, or if I
Right.
could be a person, who would I be? And that's what I decided, how I decided to create Skin Gourmet. As people, we have aspirations to how we want to be good or perfect people, but it is impossible because we are people and we make mistakes. But I decided, okay, if I was a brand, what would I be? So I said, okay, definitely kind and generous, definitely
Yeah.
have integrity, definitely be thoughtful and considerate, which means that it's not just about getting the money that the person gives you, but what is the impact that this company has on other people? What is
Right.
going to be more important to this company? So I decided, people, because without people, what are you even going to use your profit for? Like, you just want to
Hmm.
live by yourself, grandiose mansion,
Yeah. Yeah.
grandiose car, around alone. No, it's enjoyed with people. So we have to create a brand which puts people over profit. That means no gimmicks. So at first, when I started the brand, I mean, I had a really long description of what Skin Gourmet did. I mean, I can't remember, but it was a paragraph and a half. And I was like, okay, just break it down. What does it do? Simply elevator pitch. So it's okay, raw, pure, wild. What does that mean? It's so raw that you can eat it. It's simple. We have not done much dilution to it. It's pure. It doesn't have anything that's going to harm people, not even intentions. And it's wild. Wild meaning that, so when we come from Ghana, we tend to think, oh, but this is Ghana. Everybody has access. But no, it's not true. Ghana is actually a really little country that has a different culture and things that are different and could be considered as wild by most people. So I decided, okay, so raw, pure, wild is simple to explain. Is raw handmade skincare sourced from the wilds of Ghana, and it's so pure, you can eat it. So we said, okay, let's use that. And Skin Gourmet, we said, okay, let's simplify it. And then on top of just simplify it, what again is the unique selling point? Yes, you can eat it, but still it's from Ghana. So we put Ghana because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's if the product is sitting there by itself, what do you want it to scream? So I want to scream, I'm from Ghana. Like, I'm from West Africa. You got to try me. I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Taking, like I said, feedback. Feedback is so, so critical. At first, I used to feel like, I cannot believe she said that. She has a problem. I say, get over yourself and really listen to what the person is saying. And so I realized that when you actually take it in, you tweak it a little bit, not only does the person appreciate it, but the customer even feels more ownership for the brand because they know that, okay, this was my idea. They were able to implement, and I know that it's 100% safe. So again, was simplify, simplify, simplify. I remember when I was telling you about how I asked my uncle for stuff in the UK. I asked this guy for everything. I think everything important he brought. And then and then after praying about it, God's like, you're in Ghana. Just use what's in. Why do you have ingredients in your formula? I mean, come on, girl. So I was like, okay, let's stick with seven or less. And even as I'm sitting here today, I'm still always building on the brand guide, always finding ways to improve. Like again, like my partners in Europe, because that's a whole different ball game. Came back and they're like, okay, we need this information. Some of the questions they even asked me, I was like, I mean, that is deep. But then instead of it just being, I'm throwing it at you, they work with you to make sure you get to that level. But you have to be open and also understand, again, the character of your company so that not everybody's idea just comes to change it, but you have an idea of who you want your company to be. And then you're able to filter out the good information, the not so good information, and the rubbish based on the character of your brand. And I think that's why I said we're constantly rebranding, and we are going to rebrand again, just to make sure we're more sustainability focused.
Really?
Exciting. Really exciting.
Thank you.
Okay. So you the thing is when you explain things right is that I need to get my notebook and I think I need to reflect on my brand, because this is good. I love how you're like the sponge that continuously, soaks in all of the information to improve your product and what you do. I love how you're able to still take time and reflect and do something with the feedback, really convert feedback into growth, and keys to growth and so much more. I'm like absolutely loving it. I know I'm gonna like rewatch this and kind of take the notes from what you're explaining it with so much sense of humor. I just totally love it. In the
I
meantime,
also I also really after hearing everything that you said, I find it so funny that you said, I'm totally not a business person, because what really is a business person? At the end of the day, you are running a business, you have staff, you are a business person. Just because you're not the type that wears the suits, has an MBA or studied it specifically, done it, according to the book. I think most companies that we know now, that have been founded and have been here for longer periods of times, went outside of the book. There's no one straight way to get to where you're going. And I just think it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of determination, a lot of devotion, and it takes focus. But in all that I see and all that I hear is that you have in common with anybody that does call themselves a business person on LinkedIn is that you have vision, right? You have a vision that is so clear to you. It's clear as day as you're speaking to us now. It's like you're drawing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that movie Jingle Jangles, but then it's like you can, you're drawing it and we can see it with you, right? And I think that's what makes at least for a good founder, for a good leader, doesn't mean that you have to be the person who is, the business has the typical business aspects. And the reason I'm emphasizing on this is because I speak and I coach a lot of women who talk about not being a business person, which is why they don't think they can do these things. And so this is why I laugh, because you're the perfect example of somebody who doesn't consider themselves to be a business person, yet you're here with this company going global for multiple years, growing, steering and leading staff. And I think that is really what we should be looking at. Those are the kind of people that we want to start businesses, who we want to be supporting, because I think that's the future. Nobody wants to look at a big fat, middle-aged guy who feels like, banging on his chest, talking about how he knows everything just because he has the right connections and has funds. Because let's not talk about money and being in Ghana, right? And so I think that having a business that is growing in the circumstances that you are, with the resources that you have, you overqualify to call yourself a business person.
Absolutely.
That was a very long introduction.
Take that. Okay. Take that.
Back. I'm going to take that advice. That business I think you're right that I look at it a lot like, business people sort of like, I go to certain meetings, right? And I mean, these are proper business people. Sorry to say, proper business people, right? And the topic lays out, yes, I have this financial stress. And I'm just like, Hiradio, where am I? and then they ask the same question, like, you know what? Let me just get back to you on that. So, right, but yeah, I know. I'm now define myself as a business person.
I know, and be. What I like about having this conversation, the energy that comes from you, the way that you seem to be very closely connected now to who you are, and you're comfortable with who you are as the way you're presenting, and it shows, right? It really shows when you're still searching, when you're not sure, and it really shows when you're really comfortable to just be the way that you are, and you're not going to wear suits for interviews, and you're not going to go on the stilettos just because you're going inside for raising funds. And I think more and more investors are looking for people who they can see right away. What I mean with that is not having to wait till the due diligence is done and then finding out you're actually this very vibrant person, right? Who has a lot of ideas and who is a little cuckoo. And we want to know that beforehand so that we know, okay, who are we dealing with? I'm not saying you're cuckoo, by the way, but anyway, so I think, it's this, and it goes to show, I'm not sure how old you are, but this generation that, we like to be real and we like to be taken as who we are. And the people that you are selling to are from that generation who just want to know, what is inside this bottle? What is inside the jar? Where did you make it? Don't lie, So I think this is why it resonates.
I think it does. I really believe so. Okay. I think you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yay. In the meantime, by the way, this conversation is super, for those of you who just tuned in, Welcome to Women About Business, presented by myself and Kimberly Ofori, where we talk about business in general as it relates to us women entrepreneurs, global entrepreneurs, running our business. And for today, we are actually talking about pushing innovation and sustainability with none other than the founder of Skin Gourmet, which is a brand, by the way, that we're fully gonna like support and push. A made in Ghana product that has now entered the European market. And speaking of products so raw, so good that you can even eat it. Violet, could you share, how did the eating bit come about? Like, how do you even come to that? Like, and also what I would like to know, how do you push for that within your value chain, and bring in such a good product? How does that work?
Okay, so it's a mixture of different things. Remember, I was telling you that I had to do a lot of research. And so when I went to find out more about the products and the ingredients that we're using, I found out how the cultures that we're getting it from, the different places in Ghana, how they use it. And it's interesting that in Ghana, there's hardly, except for black soap, but even black soap is made from edible ingredients, but hardly
Right.
any cosmetics are not edible. If you're getting it raw from the source, they cook with
Right.
it and they skincare. Like, for example, palm kernel oil. Palm kernel oil is used for nappy rash, but it's also
Mm-hmm.
great for like use. Coconut oil is great for using as a moisturizer for your face, but it's also used for soups and stews. And I think the reason for that is that
Yeah.
in our culture, I think we somehow got confused that if it is not manufactured in a particular way, then it is not as valuable. But
Yeah.
the matter is that this is the way that we have been treating our skin for centuries before. It's
Yeah.
not a new concept necessarily.
No.
What
Right.
is that we have then innovated the raw ingredients and created something new based on the culture.
Right.
And with and what happened was my sister, when I first started the scrubs, she's like, "Oh my God, it is so delicious. It keeps entering my mouth. I hope it's safe enough for me to eat it." And I was like, "Yeah, it better be safe enough for you to eat it." So I went back and I said, "Okay, let's base it on where we got it from, where we started, right? If in Ghana you can eat your skincare, then if we're going to evolve the same concept, that basic premise should be there. It should be the same.
Mm.
It shouldn't
Mm.
change. Valuable. And then it comes to the point of, okay, how do you preserve something that's edible with no preservatives? But again, it's back in our culture. You just have to look for it. You have to find it. You have to study it and you figure it out. So we've been able to figure out a few tricks here and there of how to preserve something without using any chemicals because it's techniques that we've used. And at the same time, that also preserves our culture, things that we're leaving behind, pretty much. And plus, it's fun to eat your
Yeah.
cookies. I mean, I eat my I eat my scrubs. I mean, if you're really hungry, why can't you grab something in your bathroom? But the one thing that we found difficulty, it's so I don't want to say it's like we have been, I don't want to say brainwashed, but
Yeah.
these cosmetic companies have fooled us into thinking that you're not supposed to be able to eat your skincare. And so what we're finding is so difficult to get people to understand you can taste it. It's okay. So what we have is like we have two groups of customers. They either buy it to eat it or they buy it for skincare. We're now getting to the point where people are saying, "Oh, okay, so I can do both." They're a little bit afraid at first, but then once they start doing it, they're like, oh, "Okay, this is not bad. I'm actually saving more money because I have different uses for the same product." So they
Right.
buy, say, a bottle of coconut oil. They can split it in half, keep this here, keep this here. And the idea is, even though you're saving your customer money, they're more appreciative of the product and they bond more with the product knowing that they can do more things with it and it's not some funny trick to get them to buy.
Right. So you've
Right.
increased the value with this. That's
Yes,
amazing. That's amazing.
exactly.
And I love how you're connecting to this awareness that we have now that everything that we put on our body goes in our body.
Exactly.
And a lot of people are aware, but we just feel like, well, what else am I going to use? I need to smell good. Like I need to, have, I need to moisturize my skin. And I think especially if you're, well, we are in Europe. If you're in Europe, like your options are limited when it comes to like having natural products.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so and for me personally, like I am probably, when it comes to taking care of myself, the worst person in the world. I take care of everybody else, and then if I have 5 minutes to myself, I will find something to do for somebody else. And so when it also comes to my skincare, and I don't mean that in a good way. When I find anyway, when I find something, like I buy all of these products that tell me that it's going to save me time, and on the go things, and those are the most unhealthy things that you can ever find. And like my skin routine is non-existent. I have buckets of shea butter and oils and stuff just waiting for me to use them once, and it's like I am struggling with the whole kind of, okay, get yourself to make a conscious, intentional decision to start using things that are actually good for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think
Yeah.
a product like yours does so much of the work already. It's something that, it's already in the bottle. Like I don't, after reading one or two, ingredient list, or having seen
Yeah.
a video, or have been to your shop, I know, you know what, it's good. Like whatever it is, it's not going to harm me. It's going to either be very good for me, or it's going to taste good. And I can apply it as is.
Yeah.
So are there like how have you
I,
how has your brand, sorry?
I was gonna say that just to like add to your point about, you see how you say you're the type of person that you might not necessarily take care of your skin. It goes back to the fact that skincare, real skincare, is not just what you're applying on the outside. It's also what you're eating as well. So for somebody like you, maybe you're not gonna apply your coconut oil, but when you wake up in the morning and fry your eggs, you can make the conscious decision of using your coconut oil, and that also,
Hey.
guys, it's really amazing to me how, like, now that I use Skin Gourmet, after everything happened with me on my lip, I'm more conscious about everything that I put on my skin, because it absorbs so quickly right into your body. Now, if
Right.
you're not eating well, but you're using all the great skincare,
Yeah.
that but it's quite interesting how it's our bodies have this interesting ecosystem where what
Yeah.
comes out and what you put on comes in. So people just have to be more conscious about that comes from our culture that
Yeah.
somehow we started to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we know not to put the blame to everything Western, but we know what happened. But I think, I think a lot of our history has been lost. A lot of the way that we did things has been
Yeah.
lost because of,
That's
well, certain centuries of not being focused on growing ourselves, but growing
Right.
other countries outside of Africa. But
Right.
hey, here we are, no shade. And I think that it's so important that this generation stays connected to that. And I feel like your brand, without pushing it, does that. Like if you
Yeah.
ask, you have this conversation with you, or maybe with one of your retail sellers, you're quickly going to find out how much this is linked to what was already there, to what we have already known, to what is so rich about Ghana and Africa. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it carries a story that just empowers, the culture as well. I really like that bit. Before we're almost gonna round it up. Before I wish I could just go on with this talk. Let's have a look at some people that are really, and including some men that are really taking. Um, you are dropping the gems, and the men are fetching them one by one as well. And also want to give people the opportunity to ask some questions if they have. First, I just want to give a shout out to Anita Abaisa, who says using feedback for constant improvement is just wow. Props to you, Violet. And she also mentioned, how many entrepreneurs are able to go global. You are doing it, and this is just awesome. Also, one from Evans, who is a male, actually said this generation needs more ladies like you guys. Thanks a lot. So this even proves that men are just taking notes as well. On the YouTube side, Joseph Adeju, who said, interesting discovery about our cultural technologies. Raw, pure, and wild. Nice, Violet. Keep it up. Hashtag Skin Gourmet. Hashtag value chain approach. Okay. And also shout out to Mena Ama, who says, lazy ladies who depend on men for food, please come and learn and grow for yourself before time is out. Okay. All right. Mena Ama, Sister Mena.
Ama, why? Who are you referring to?
I love that. And also one from DJ Marcus Ankasa, who said, this is why most businesses in Ghana is not going far. We always put the money first, but quality and works care last. And that is really like I think it's like, what will keep you going in any type of business is really your why. Why are you here? What are you adding? What kind of value are you adding to people? Also, a shout out to Chronicle, who says that's a beautiful way to think about your staff, which empower them to be more involved with the work and the vision. And that refers to the talk that you had about how you treat your colleagues, you treat your workers. Also, shout out to Stefan Popa and the Hakuna Group, who's also who's one of your partners as well. One thing we would like to find out now, you are, you've entered into European markets. How did that come about? And so far, also in your journey in closing, what are like the major lessons, 3 major lessons that you've learned during your business journey?
Okay, so again, like I say, I feel really blessed. So for us to get into, I just got this amazing call from this guy called Jay from Hakuna Group, and he starts like he has so much energy, right? And he's telling me about all these great ideas how we're gonna do this. I'm thinking, wait, what? We're really gonna go into the EU? He's actually gonna help us just like that? Like, what's going on? But then again, I said to you, we have a lot of divine partners that come our way. And Jake Hakuna Group, Nadine and Isa have been those partners. They tried the product, they believe in the product, and they were like, okay, you know what? Let's do this together. Let's help you first move into the European market. We're going to ask you a few questions. We're going to give you some feedback. And that's how, again, we are rebranding, because European market is a whole different beast when it comes to sustainability, which I'm excited about. I'm so excited about, because as much as make this product more sustainable is basically my dream. So us partnering with them has been, I mean, I couldn't ask for more. If I could have every certification in the world, I totally would. But it's good to have like proper feedback from the European point of view, which we were not able to get before, because I mean, people will buy and they take it, but it's different when you say, okay, I want to partner with you. I want to push this forward. I want to help it to grow and have a proper foundation in Europe. So I would find partners. God brought them. And I was like, hey. And in terms of 3 things that I would say every business person should know or remember, and the person who told me this is a very close friend of mine. Her name is Jillian. It's called the 3 givings. You have to give more, you have to forgive, and you have to give thanks. Those 3 things keep it going. You forgive when things are done to you that maybe you feel was not right, but you be grateful for it, because there's always a lesson in something. You have to know that, I mean, if your intentions are pure, I don't believe that God's gonna let anything bad happen to you. If it happens, it means that if there's any problem between 2 people, you're both at fault. So you have to forgive, and you have to go within yourself and figure out how maybe you messed up and grow from it. And you have to give more. You have to give more of who you are. You have to give. Being generous is, I believe, how you can make it in this world. Even though giving is kind of counterproductive, for some reason I find that when you give, you receive more. And then you have to always give thanks. So no matter what happens, you have to find how to be grateful, where to be grateful. Even when you go through things, there's always something to be grateful for. And as long as you focus on those things, you keep moving.
Right. Right. On that note, oh my gosh, thanks so much for, engaging with us, taking the time out to talk to us about this wonderful product. Skin Gourmet has entered the EU market. So for those of you who are listening, we're based in Europe. Hop on to www.skingourmet.eu to place your order because there are some fantastic products. I just have to share the screen so that people could see this and know wagwan. Look at that, from pure moringa powder to or oils to Ghana clay mask. One that I tried was a new one that I tried was the hibiscus tea tree scrub.
Look at you.
And the clay mask. I got a goodie bag, by the way, so I was so super excited. Oh my gosh.
Seriously, Violet, you need to hire Augustina to be the brand ambassador. Honestly, like she convinced me. She convinced me. Like she's a good ambassador.
Like this is the
You have to make more.
will do, definitely will do. And I say this, in urban language, this is the ish, truly one that you should have. Any last shout outs, Violet, before we round up Women About Business?
Well, yeah. Thanks to you guys so much for the opportunity. Thank you
Right.
to Jay, the Dean. Thank you to Isa. It's been, you guys are just a god, and God bless you so much. I really appreciate it.
Love
Thank
it.
you so much.
Thanks so much. We, of course, will be keeping in touch. Thanks so much for giving us part of your time. I know you're going to have to go back to work. The storage is there. And hopefully we will be meeting and interacting with you soon.
That would be amazing.
Okay.
Thank you
All
guys.
right.
Thank you, Violet.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So here we are back again, Kimberly. I think this is also like one of the conversations that I reflect back and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to when we start pushing the podcast, to drive the conversation surrounding this type of content and introducing something that is from Ghana, in this way. It just makes me proud, That's really what
This is a brand that we should all be proud of. We should, really support. I think there's so many layers to this story.
Yeah.
And I just love the authenticity in all of it.
Absolutely.
It shows in, the brand, it shows in the journey that was shared. It also shows in how Violet leads the company when it comes to what does she want to give back, not just to her customers, but to her staff and to how she treats the whole thing. I think it's such a beautiful example of what we want brands from Africa to represent. And that is that we're doing it together. While we're going up, we're lifting others with us. And that's, I love it.
I love it as well. Well, on that note, we've reached the end of Women About Business. And of course, we will be following up with another special guest as we give that every week, talking about business and women being in charge, women owning stuff, and so forth. Of course, myself, I'm your host, together with my co-host Kimberly Ofori. Make sure that you follow us on our social platforms at Miss Abba. And thank you again for doing this with me. I have to thank you every show because it's like, okay, this is good.
Why are you taking? You're the one who allowed me to have a segment on your show. So it's but no, I am just grateful that we met. I'm grateful that we are able to speak to so many women that inspire us and have inspired so many others, men and women, who listen to the show. So this has been phenomenal.
Absolutely. I agree. And well, again, everyone, thank you for tuning in and taking this hour out, or hour plus for Women About Business. Keep an eye on the Hiradio social media platform as we will be introducing our next guest for next week really soon. Make sure that you spread this on your timelines. For those of you who tuned in on Facebook, spreading the word is free. And also share the links of the YouTube video, which is also there around, so that we can all support the Women About Business movement. We are out. I'm your host, Miss Abba, alongside Kimberly Ofori, and we will be meeting you next week. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.